PlayStation finally confirmed details of a new DRM system that adds an online timer to PlayStation 4 and 5 games. And while it's not the worst possible news like we reported on a few days ago, it's also not great. Welcome to Inside Games Daily, the only gaming news show brave enough to simply say, just this sucks.
Yeah, it doesn't feel good when one company can just call the shots. They can change the deal at any time, and they don't even have to tell you. That's the annoying part. It's kind of scary, but also in this specific situation, it doesn't seem too bad.
Well, Lawrence, it's just like Darth Vader.
Yeah.
Pray I don't alter it any further. PlayStation sent a comment to GameSpot yesterday confirming the functional details of a new online DRM system noticed by the PlayStation jailbreaking community.
Yeah, it says noticed, and you can even see it on PlayStation 4. This new system adds a 30-day timer to all new purchases on PlayStation 4 and PlayStation 5. And it all happened after March 2026. Suddenly these timers just showed up on everything.
According to PlayStation's statement, the 30-day timer results in another online check-in, after which no more online checks are required.
Yeah, so that's something, I guess. Here's the statement in full. Quote, players can continue to access and play their purchased games as usual. A one-time online check is required to confirm the game's license, after which no further check-ins are required.
Basically now, when you buy a game from PlayStation, you're only issued a 30-day license.
Yep. At the end of that 30 days, or actually in a window before the end of that 30 days, the PlayStation has to check back in with PlayStation Network over the internet. And if everything is on the up and up, then you get an indefinite license, which can work offline without any further connectivity, also provided the game is, a single-player game or something like that.
This theoretically would be largely invisible to the user, and since the check isn't done every time the game runs, players would still be able to play their games if their internet is disrupted.
Yeah, as long as it's a one-time thing. I guess if they lose their internet for 2 weeks, that would be really bad. So I guess there is a window here where a user's internet could go out for an extended period of time, and then they would not be able to check back in and get their extended license.
Early testing implies that permanent license files are issued after 14 days, which provides a fairly generous 2-week window to recover access to the internet, I guess.
Yeah, or just do an emergency check-in. Maybe you tether to your phone just so it can grab those permanent files and keep running. Who knows? But here's the interesting bit, and I think a lot of people seized on this. 14 days also just so happens to be PlayStation's refund window. So essentially you get a temporary license that only lasts the refund window, after which if you check back into the internet, you're cleared for good.
This system hasn't been active for more than 30 days yet, so we don't really fully know how it works in the wild. This is just partially the statement from PlayStation and partially speculation.
Yeah, you never know until it's in live, until it's in prod, what can actually go wrong or what. There's always edge cases when it comes to people and how they use equipment, so hopefully this doesn't grab a lot of legitimate users and kick them out of their games. So, I mean, the way that this works, yeah, it's cool and all, and I can appreciate that it seems architected to be invisible to people, but why? What was the problem? What are they trying to deal with here?
All right, so speaking to Kotaku offline accessibility website Does It Play, owner Clemens Istel offered a possible theory on as to why.
Yeah, they theorized that this online check-in is meant to specifically combat some fraudulent behavior from users, though what that specific fraudulent behavior isn't really known right now.
Istel mentions a refund scam wherein PlayStation users would buy a game to obtain the authentication license, then refund the game after copying the license file for offline play.
Yeah, and that would be specifically with jailbroken PlayStation 5s. You can't do that with a normal one. Other possible exploits involve specific games like the physical release of Star Wars Racer Revenge. I guess it had a code exploit that people were using all the way back to PS2, but you could use that to get into PS4 and PS5s as well. The physical re-release of that game on PlayStation 4 spiked in price after hackers discovered a jailbreak using this technique. So by forcing online check-ins, it's possible that PlayStation is closing this particular loophole. So I can appreciate Sony's architecture here. Like I said, I think they've come up with a system that's fairly generous and will likely work for most people, especially if people have super spotty connections to the internet. They're probably just using physical games to begin with. So I think if somebody's buying and downloading digital games from the PlayStation Store, they probably have an internet that is stable enough to eventually reach the internet over a 2-week period, whether it's in like standby mode or something like that. So, I can appreciate a system that's designed to work in most circumstances, but I also wish it weren't there at all because, in 30 days, hopefully we don't start seeing a lot of people. Maybe, I don't know, maybe the power knocked out or the PlayStation's time got messed up or any number of other problems that could just cause the PlayStation to tell you you're not allowed to play the game you paid for.
Yeah, we reported on this a few days ago, Lawrence, and I was monitoring the comments as I usually do for every episode. And a lot of comments were like, this is a rumor, this is all bullshit. You guys should be ashamed for reporting on something. Yeah, no, you guys should be ashamed for reporting on something that is an absolute rumor. It's all garbage. And now we have clarification. And on the one hand, like Lawrence said, sure, the system, if it works as intended, should be fine, right? There should be no issues. Most people have the internet, etc., etc. However, it is a slippery slope. The internet also loves to say that often. The slippery slope scenario, which is if we give PlayStation the 14-day window, okay, well, that's not so bad, right? 14 days, no big deal. Well, maybe they need a 30-day window. All right, well, give them 30 days. Maybe they need a 30-day check-in for 90 days. They need it for 3 times in 90 days. All right, that's it. And eventually, at this point, we're now trusting this corporation to give us the game that we paid for, right? And everyone talks about we are buying a license. We are not actually buying the video game unless you buy physical. And even then, I think they're still doing check-ins on physical. So the question is, do you want to trust a corporation to not go down that slippery slope? Me personally, I don't. That's not something that I want to do. And when I see comments about like how we're reporting on rumors and stuff like that, this is not out of the realm of possibility for any corporation to do. They are going to continue to try and take these little things away from us to make sure that they have control over what we bought.
Yeah, that's weird. It's also not a rumor if people are reporting it and posting proof of their firsthand experience. That's reporting. A rumor is whatever that one account said where they talked to an anonymous source that said it was a UI bug. That was purely made up. Unless, I don't know, this connects to another issue that I have with this in particular, but unless that person was talking to a support bot that said that, because there was some weird confusion where there was an AI support bot that was kind of saying, there aren't any online check-ins. And then somebody eventually got to a human that said, yes, this is happening, which kind of leads to my frustration with this, is that PlayStation, they had no reason to announce this, but they should have put up a support page saying specifically what it meant and why they were adding it, or like just defining what you see in the UI. So when there's this timer there that just appears out of nowhere that says like light game expires in 30 days or whatever, there should have been like a support page waiting for people to Google that and say like, okay, here's how the system works. Don't worry, you've got 14 days to check in. Again, I can see why they wouldn't want to, because with online media the way it is, people are going to run with anything negative they can possibly twist around. But like leaving it to custom firmware folks to find it and talk about it, and then kind of just the awareness of it forcing a very minimal statement out of PlayStation. I don't know why they wouldn't just be more upfront with it, given that the system seems like their engineers went to some effort to make sure that this wouldn't be too much of a frustration or a hassle. But I don't know, they're usually pretty good about that, about being communicative and providing support. So this was a weird whiff in that regard. And then Bruce, to your point about the slippery slope, what always terrifies me in these situations, I think we've seen this a lot, especially in like economic shit, where external factors force a company to do a thing that makes them realize they could have done that thing the whole time. And then they keep doing the thing because it's better for their business. What I always worry about in situations like this is they put in a system with best intentions that seems well architected, but maybe an unintended side effect is that by doing this, some metrics that they want to see go up a little bit. So maybe they get more active users on PlayStation Network because they're forcing this little check-in thing. And then they think, well, wait a minute, if we make the window smaller, the number goes up more. And then it kicks off this runaway scenario where they start affecting systems that manipulate people's behavior because number go up, but they're in the middle, they're getting disconnected from the user experience. And I feel like that's when you go to a website, and then there's pop-up, and then there's another pop-up, and then a banner slides up, and then another thing slides down. Because, I mean, I remember this back, I'm getting a little bit off track here, but I remember like back at Rooster Teeth, I would kind of say like the website's getting a little insufferable, but then I can't remember who was producing the web at that time, but they basically said, yeah, but it works. Like everything we add results in more revenue, so we get no feedback saying we shouldn't do it. And I was like, but I'm giving you the feedback that this sucks and I don't want to go there now. So, it's one of those scenarios. So that's kind of mostly what I worry about. I don't think that there's somebody rubbing their hands together trying to make games not work at PlayStation. But I do worry that somebody's rubbing their hands together looking at a graph and waiting for the node to do that. And once they do, they're going to put all their gas behind whatever made it do that.
Lawrence, you're totally wrong. Rooster Teeth, they're here forever. They've been around. They're here for they're still going strong, right? Everybody's doing great. Oh wait, no. And that's exactly Lawrence's point, is that the more that they get away from the user experience, the more that nobody wants to use what they're doing. And Rooster Teeth, I think, is a smaller example of that. And Sony's a massive corporation. PlayStation's huge. So it's going to take a long time for them to die if that, this isn't, I'm not saying this is the beginning of the end or anything, but this is the kind of thing that's like death by a thousand cuts, that they're getting further and further away from customer satisfaction. It's just like Netflix constantly raising their prices $2 every 3 months or whatever it is. Eventually, they're not going to have anybody left, and they have to actually lower the price. But they're trying to find the limit, and in the meantime, we all suffer for it. What a nightmare!
So annoying. So yeah, I guess I've got like 2 more weeks before I know I can reliably play Saros whenever I want. But also my PlayStation's sitting on the floor, so what have I got to complain about? Yeah, it's a rough situation, and definitely these days do not like handing over any control of any part of my life to a giant corporation. To get less and less savory, the more that it seems like the world wants me to do it. But thank you for watching our show here. Thank you for watching Inside Games Daily. We really like making this show. We love chatting about games. We love complaining about the corpo boots on our neck while we try to play our fancy little running around gunman games. If you enjoyed our show, please, leave a comment, subscribe, recommend it to a friend. And if you really liked it, please check out our Patreon. It's not just loads and loads of paywalls. We actually post everything we do for free on our Patreon, plus a bonus Patreon meme, hand-selected by me from my meme bucket. I have a pictures folder with like 50,000 images in it. I've just been throwing random images in there ever since I've had a PC. So like going back to the late 90s. So enjoy the meme collection there. Enjoy the spread. We'd like to shout out some of our stalwart supporters. Thank you very much, Greg Wolf, Worst Donut, and Jambers87. You know what? You don't have to check in. You've got a permanent license file to our hearts. So thank you very much for the support. We'll see you next time on Inside Games, everybody.